coming in drunk, like from the streets into this church, right? Because the power of the Holy Spirit, I think, at Melbourne Life, right? The DNA of Melbourne Life is the Holy Spirit, right? And I think the power of the Holy Spirit is going to be so strong that, like, you know, I remember back in the 80s when we used to go to church, right? We would have people coming off the street drunk, right? And the Holy Spirit would so overwhelm them and so touch them, they just immediately fall on their knees, start repenting and get saved and all that sort of stuff, right? And I really believe that this church is going to have that sort of DNA sort of thing happening.
Yeah.
Because God's going to unleash on this world, right, a new movement on the Holy Spirit like no one's ever seen. It's going to be so different than anything anyone's ever seen before. It's going to be so captivating and so strong but gentle at the same time, right? And so overwhelmingly about God's love, right? Because if you think about it, right, this world is lost and dying, and it's literally, you know, wide is the road that leads to hell, and narrow is the way that goes to God, right? So if I just look at my friends at the moment, I would say 90% of my friends outside you guys, right, are all non-Christians. They're all not doing anything like except living their own lives for themselves. So I'm thinking, if we're in end times, right, God's going to have to do something pretty radical to get people's attention.
Yeah.
Right. So I believe there's a movement of the Holy Spirit coming. I believe there's going to be a fire of God that is just going to go through the churches that have positioned themselves, which is what this church is doing at the moment. And I believe the fire of God is going to touch this church, and I believe the things that are going to happen are going to be so radical in the end times, like nothing we've ever seen, like not even... So I grew up in the Pentecostal churches in the 80s and I've seen some amazing things, like nothing like we see at the moment in churches. You know, the Holy Spirit was just amazing back then. Like we would go to church and I would see people get out of wheelchairs in worship and stuff like this. It was truly amazing, right? Back then I hadn't seen anything like it in years and years and years. And I believe the next minute the Holy Spirit's going to just be so even bigger than that, because the world is lost and dying and going to hell, and God's not about to let all those people just die. So it's going to be one last movement, and it's going to be, I think, overwhelming. And I believe that we're going to be overwhelmed with, I really think we can't even anticipate or can't even imagine the amount of people that are going to start flocking to churches, right, because of what the Holy Spirit in those churches that position themselves with the fire of God and all that, and what He's going to do in those churches. I believe we're going to be actually overwhelmed with the amount of people start coming in. So which is why God's building an army now and really training people up and all that sort of stuff. Because we're going to need to be ready to have to, you know, talk to these people and whatever sort of thing. But yeah, it'd be really interesting.
You know, the other day I asked if I could just listen into that home group. I came home early and I started listening in. And I didn't update my latest Skype, so I couldn't see him. So all I'm listening in is listening to CC and the people in this home group. And I was just I was blown away. In fact, the things that were going through my head, I felt like this is us. The same heart, the worship was incredible. And all of a sudden, I just could not stop crying. I was in front of my computer. I couldn't stop crying. But I noticed on the other end, it went quiet for maybe about 15 seconds. I was wondering why everything went quiet. It's because then I started to hear people were crying.
Everyone was weeping.
Everyone was. And that heart of worship and that love. And I just thought, there is, you know, and then I'm hearing, you know, this revival going on, the massive things that are going on. I heard prayer that was just escalated to a level that was just so incredible. And that's exactly who we are, and that's what our church represents. That's what we're doing. And this is happening this is in a house, right? Where they've got these people together and they're just worshipping. And
It actually started just like this, and then the hearts of the people has gradually just got more and more and more. It's like God just brought revival, and then it started growing and growing from there.
Yeah, so it was the most. I just couldn't believe it. I was floored, and in the end, I didn't know what to say. I had to comment, and I spoke to Guy and